Hello, Sagittarians. This is your reading for February 2017. Let's get started. The first card in your current situation, the most recent past or the immediate future position, is the Wheel of Fortune, upright. This card is obviously a good card. This says, you're on top. Just like everybody is, there's a cycle that we have. You're on top, you're having good luck. You're possibly having a good love life. You've chosen between someone. Everything's great. This card involves all the signs. So it tells me you're using all the aspects of the signs. You're complete. You're the number 10. So that talks about a cycle or a completion. So it could be that something's been really great. You've had a good victory, a triumph, and it's coming to an end, just like the cycle of life, okay? In your conflict, your obstacle, or your karma destiny, I pulled up the Two of Swords in reverse. And when I see the Two of Swords, it talks about barriers. You see that this person has crossed their arms over their heart. So they've barred themselves to love. And there's two swords, which talk about, your thoughts. And there's a moon and lots of water that's being held back. So this person's choosing to be blind. They're not using their intuition. They still think it's dark outside when really, the light's coming up. Night is fading away. And they're just purposely blind. In reverse, though, I see that your obstacle is you are willing to make a choice, as represented between two swords. You're ready to be released. Could be like an argument, a separation from someone. But this other person that you're dealing with is being very difficult. You're ready to release those burdens of the heart that you've carried. And here this talks about two people who are arguing. They're really having a dispute. That makes me think of a divorce. It could be any kind of separation. It could be even becoming a widow or widower. Which reminds me, I did an initial reading for Sagittarians. And I had so much trouble. I had to record the first few minutes about 5 times, and I finally got a reading finished. And halfway through the reading, I saw something in there that I hadn't seen initially, and I felt like the whole reading was a waste. And then there were a few other things that just messed up the reading, so I made it private, and I decided to redo it, and I was hoping I'd get the same cards, and I didn't get not one of the same cards. So, I don't know if that reading was meant to get out, but basically it talked about somebody had lost a spouse to a fatality, a death. And the message was, it was either a murder or it was just an accident. So if the person was thought to have committed suicide, it was just an accident, they didn't mean to. And if they were murdered, it was more like a manslaughter. So whatever happened wasn't on purpose. So if that was you, I'm sorry that your reading didn't get to come out, and this new reading came out. So this could mean separation. It also talks about you could be mad at somebody if they've passed intentionally, or at least that's what you think. But from the last reading, they didn't pass intentionally. It was an accident, okay? Doesn't mean you're not angry about it, okay? But here, it could also talk about you're choosing to juggle, you're having a hard time juggling your work life with your personal life. Maybe you want to start a family, and your work's just getting in the way. But mostly I see two people who are having a dispute. It could be that one partner wants to have a baby and the other one doesn't, okay? But I asked for a little bit more clarity because that could be so many things based on the rest of this reading. And I got the Ace of Swords, which in some instances can mean infertility. In other instances, it can mean a conception or childbirth. So those are completely opposite things. You think it would be one or the other, but it can be both. It talks about a triumph, but it's a forced triumph. So it's as if you're letting somebody win, but they kind of had to force you into it. And again, when it's upright, the advice is, call a truce so you can see some progress. So if you're fighting with someone, call a truce. Lay all your resentments down just so you can get somewhere. And here it seems like no truce was called. Somebody wouldn't agree to a truce. But when you come here in reverse, this talks about being confused. You're not able to make a choice. You don't know how to balance your work and personal life. And your willpower is fading. Any relationships are in danger. It could be that one person just doesn't have any feelings anymore towards the other. But if this is about excessive love or hate, this means excessive love and hate. But in reverse, it means the same thing, only the results are disastrous. It talks about delays in your relationship, lots of stress. Stress is just multiplying. You can talk about fruitfulness, like the multiplication of something. And you're waiting to hear from somebody. I think that's funny because this card can talk about communication or the lack of it between two parties. So here I think you're just waiting on that. So you could have had your own truce. If they didn't call a truce, then you're just going to have your own truce, in your mind. And you're just kind of waiting on them to communicate with you. So that can be talking about this. But it also talks about you just need to concentrate on you. In some extreme cases, this can talk about infidelity, but that's going to be rare. And you may feel exploited. And here, this talks about thoughts, but not actions. And here, somebody's taking action. And what you really need is a truce. Here you're on the fence. Here you're not on the fence. So perhaps your challenge or your conflict is you need to take action, but somebody's just not cooperating, and you need better communication. And the change position of what you can change of your obstacle, you have the Magician upright. This is almost always a good card. It talks about manifesting things, going through heaven and hell, being infinite possibilities. He has all the signs, suits. So he's using his intuition, his emotions, his thoughts, passion, money. He's using everything he can to manifest what he wants. And this card is also about communication. So it's very funny we have two communication cards. And then this is saying to change your situation, you need to manifest and communicate. Coming down to your strength. Your strength is the Hanged Man, up, right side up. This talks about, you're willing to sacrifice. And you're just very patient. You're going to wait this person out until they start communicating with you. And also, again, talking about waiting. Again, you're waiting to hear from somebody. Yeah, that's all I got for that one. That's your strength. And you know what your strengths are. Your other position, which is called other challenges, could mean more conflicts that add on to your obstacle. Or it could be a dare or a challenge to help you face your obstacle. The first card I pulled up was the Ten of Wands, and it was upright. So this talks about being overburdened and stressed. You could be throwing yourself into work if you happen to have lost someone, or if the separation is just kind of causing you to work more And then again, we talked about not balancing your personal life with your work life. The saying, your challenge is that you're overworking and you're not paying enough attention to your love life. And so obviously, the challenge or the dare would be to stop doing this. But see, then again, in reverse, this talks about somebody has a duplicitous nature. Somebody's being false or wearing a false face. And then this also can talk about deception or disguise. Because you see, he's carrying all those wands. Yes, they're heavy, but he's really hiding his face behind them. So your challenge could be that this person that you're trying to negotiate with just is hiding something from you. They're not being truthful. If you're in a divorce proceeding, they could be hiding money, okay? Or they're spreading rumors about you so that you look bad and they can get custody, whatever it might be. Something's being false. And I asked for some more clarity on that. And I got the Sun upright. And that tells me that you need to be positive. It's daring you to be positive. Dare to take your stance and radiate who you are. And again, with the Sun, that tells me you want to be strong. It's a challenge for you. Because the Sun is the ruling planet of Leo. And Leo's card is strength. So I would think that you want to be strong and positive. And also, there's another picture of a horse with like a young child on it. So you may want to start a family. That could be a challenge. And here we did talk about maybe if you're trying to balance your work life with your personal life, you're trying to figure out how you can work and have a baby, how you can work and be a parent. You are on this cycle of life and it's still good for now, but it's just going to get harder. And here this can talk about birth or conception or the lack of it. It has both readings in that one. Coming to your outcome, the first card I got was the Sun in reverse. And I thought this is a terrible, terrible card to have as your outcome or your potential. It talks about, depression, no success, setbacks. You have a hard time seeing the good. You've lost your enthusiasm. Just you've seen a situation as overly optimistic when you shouldn't have. Then again, it can talk about, obstacles, but obstacles that are temporary and can be moved. Other readings say that, here, talking about positivity, warmth, success, everything that you would think of as good. Opening up a window on a weekend when you don't have to work and you just feel the sun on your face and you're so relaxed. That's what this card reminds me of, okay? And here, this talks about the same thing sometimes, just to a lesser degree. So it can either be really bad or really good. Or it could be medium, depending on what reading you get and what it means to you. But that was your potential outcome. And then I asked for some clarification, and I got this, the Fool upright. And I thought, well, maybe you actually have two potential outcomes. And this talks about starting over at the beginning. Being a fool as in not planning, don't worry about the future, just go. Don't think too much about it. Not that you're being foolish, but just not overanalyzing. I mean, you may be on this new adventure. Here, with this kid, you may, with the Sun in reverse, with this kid, you may not have a baby. Okay? You may not be able to start a family. And here it's talking about starting new projects, starting new beginnings, so then you could become a parent. And if this person you're trying to communicate with that you're waiting on, you might have a new beginning with them. Maybe they finally open up. You guys can have a truce and get some progress going on. That was your general reading. I asked for some clarification cards, and the significator, which is meant to be you or your situation to help clarify that this reading is for you, I got the Nine of Cups. And what this tells me is it's clarifying that either you currently are or you will be in the future very content, very happy, very healthy. And be careful what you wish for, because this is the wish card, so you may get what you wish for. If you're wanting some kind of a partner back, you're choosing whether or not to be with them, you could end up with new beginnings, or you could just be unhappy or mildly happy. So that's telling you what to wish for. Be careful. The clarifying card is the Two of Pentacles, and this is usually that man who's juggling two pentacles and with an infinity sign surrounding the pentacles. And here it's in reverse. So what that tells me is you're awaiting communication in print, like an exchange of letters. You might be waiting on like divorce papers, but here you're trying to communicate with somebody and you're being patient. So I think you're waiting for a text or an email, or maybe even snail mail. You could be waiting to hear about if you're fertile, if you're going to have children to adopt. You could just be waiting to hear from this person that you're ready to hear from, but maybe they're not ready to talk. And this says also that you need to work on the balance between your personal life and your work life. Because the man in the other picture, he's juggling the two pentacles. So you're trying to juggle two things of value, and it's difficult. So you need to learn how to balance that. Here, it talks about you're just working too much. If you're too stressed, you can't have babies. And you also can't communicate clearly if you're too stressed. You can't manifest things if you're too stressed. So that's what the clarification card's about. And then for an advice card, I got the Empress. And to me, this screams birth. Okay, babies. I don't know how that would be advice. It could not be literal. It could just mean have a new beginning, have a rebirth, transform. And here we have the Fool who's having a new beginning. So your advice is start something new. And she's very feminine. So I could see maybe somebody needs to open up emotionally. Here this person was blocked off and they were staving off all their emotions with the Two of Swords. It's in reverse, so I think you've already done that. But somebody else isn't. And even though this, says to open up to the feminine side, you can't make somebody do that. But you can keep yours, okay? You can be, more intuitive and self-sacrificing. Somebody could have gone through something and it's just having an impact on you. Also with the Empress, the ruling planet is Venus. So this could be about love. You may have a new beginning in love, but more than anything it talks about harvesting, raking in abundance. And this card usually, if it's talking about love, it appears after a breakup. And here, talking about could have had a separation and there's like a lack of communication. And that usually happens after a breakup. But it talks about, fulfillment, making a decision. So here you're having a hard time making a decision. And the cards are saying make a decision. You need to have open dialogue. So, yeah, here's closed dialogue. The advice is open the dialogue. The way to open the dialogue is to have a truce. The universe is intervening. And they're saying you need to have this communication that you're waiting for. So perhaps the advice or the information being said to you is the universe is going to intervene and open up some dialogue. Because it needs to happen. And this is probably post-breakup or separation. So the universe is going to take some initiative and do this for you. But I asked for a clarifying card for the advice because it was, I mean, I see a lot of things in these cards, so I want more clarity on which one it is so it can be more specific. And so for the Empress card as advice, I got the Queen of Wands. So we have another lady. And the Queen of Wands, well, I mean, it's passion considering it's wands. You know, she's exuberant, she's warmth, she's loyal. And here, you know, this can talk about disloyalty. If for some reason you were having a really good turn of luck and you were disloyal to somebody and you had to choose between two people, two lovers, or you were wearing a false face and you were found out, and so you had to have this dispute with someone about separating. Or it could be the other person, somebody else was wearing a false face. And they were having a secret love type of deal. And so it was hard for you to call it truce and communicate, but you were. Eventually you planned to anyway. And if you see in this card, the Empress is holding a sunflower. I mean, not Empress, Queen of Wands. And she's not always holding a sunflower in some pictures. And I think it's really important because the sun picture, there's sunflowers in the background. It's in reverse for here, but so I guess in order to not have this sun outcome in reverse, you're going to have to follow the advice of the Queen of Wands, which is to be determined, not aggressive, just determined. Be passionate, be friendly. And here, I guess the Hangman can talk about determination. You're patient, determined. That's your strength. That's going to help you with this situation. And she's saying to do that. And you'll get the sun upright as far as your dare. And instead of having the sun in reverse as your outcome, you'll get this full and upright, who's having new beginnings. And their sun's also there too. He's following the sun. Okay. This also talks about you're not going to be stressed anymore. But when you're talking to this person, let them know that you need to feel special or you're going to feel trapped. That could have been if you were the one who was being unfaithful. That could have been why you did it, because you weren't getting the attention you needed. But no matter what the reason is that you separated, let them know that you need to feel special or your relationship's just not going to be enough. This also talks about being chaste. So you need to be loyal and faithful and chaste with this person if you're going to have a new beginning. Or if you're getting a new lover you've never been with before, treat them differently and let them know that you need to feel special. Good news is you're not obsessed with anybody. That's good. I've got a lot of those lately. That's all I have for this reading. Okay, now when I first did it, I wasn't sure what kind of a reading it would be. And so I asked the angel oracle cards, romance angel oracle cards, if this is going to be a love reading, give me a love card. And I pulled up separation. So that means, you've separated from somebody. And I already knew that before I even saw this card, but or you're having success in love now, but you're about to have a separation, or if you already had the separation, then that's telling you need to open communication, be patient, because if you did do something wrong, like being unfaithful, because I know Sagittarians love to be free, just like the Fool wants to be free. And here with the Queen of Wands, You don't need to feel trapped. Just let your person know, whoever you're going to end up with, let them know about these things so they know how to deal with it, so you don't end up in another separation. I don't know if I see you reuniting with this person. I don't see that in the cards. But you're going to be with somebody. And it doesn't say who you're going to be with either. Okay. But yeah, this talks about separation. Time apart is on the horizon. I'm thinking it already happened. But if it hasn't and you see it coming, then this card is letting you know you're right. And then I just happened to turn over a card on the bottom of the deck, or on the top of the deck. And I got my card, the Chariot, which is for Cancers. It talks about triumph and progress that comes right before a struggle. So here you're having triumph and progress and good luck, and then you have some kind of a struggle. But this is like the Wheel of Fortune cycle. Usually when I see this card, I expect to see the Wheel of Fortune. And here I actually do. Just talking about the cycles of life. You know, you triumph, you have some progress, then you struggle. Then you have some progress, then you triumph, then you struggle. Okay, so this is just telling you there's like the combining of two opposites. You know, the conscious, the unconscious, good and bad. There's some kind of a joining together. And then I flipped it over and actually looked at the bottom, because this was the top card and I just happened to flip it. And the bottom was the King of Swords, which talks, with the sword upright, talks about victory. So here, triumph. Here, triumph. There's triumph all over this place with the Wheel of Fortune, with the Magician, with the Sun upright, with the Fool upright, with the Nine of Cups as your significator, and then those two cards. And this card popped out while I was moving. I just want to see if it means anything. It's the Queen of Cups upright. I mean, this is somebody who's in control of their emotions. It could be a female, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. Usually when I see this, I think Cancer. The Chariot and the Queen of Cups I think of as Cancer. But yeah, this person is really in charge of their emotions. And it's calm, intuition, compassion, being emotionally secure. You can empathize with people. People come to you as a safe harbor. You would be a good wife and mother, or a good husband and father. And you listen to yourself, your inner self. You're admired. And here, this can talk about wanting to be admired. And one of your potential outcomes is you're not admired, maybe based on something you did in the past. This says you have your intuition. Here, you know, you probably lost it for a little while if somebody cheated on you. But here you have it back. You're balanced again. But this talks about, you know, if you do take on the emotions of others, you need to put up some boundaries around your emotions. Because here, this means you don't have the boundaries, and here it means you do. So this is advice. That's what I would do. I'd put up some boundaries if somebody hurt you. Yeah, that's what I see for this. I see that all good things. I don't know if that was part of your reading or not. But if it was, there you go. If you were looking for this card for some reason, you got it. Well, that was your reading, Sagittarians, for February 2017. My advice is to be happy.